Hello friend, Jim here with JB's Big Adventure coming to you from Lake Chapala, Mexico. Well, I've got one of those subjects that's a really important subject, but not always one that we want to talk about because we're talking about death. But it's going to be a very important question for you to get the answer to when in fact you're looking at moving to Mexico and also retiring here to Lake Chapala. If you haven't already, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's fast, free, and easy to do, and I know you want to be a part of it. All you've got to do is go to the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little red box. Tap on it, and you're subscribed. Go ahead and give us one of those thumbs up. It lets other people know it's a great video to watch, and it has value about retiring here to Lake Chapala. So here's the subject, talking about wills, talking about living wills, talking about living trusts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break these down so it's real easy for you to understand. But Barbara and I just recently saw an article that the Mexican government is actually really encouraging people that are foreigners that live in Mexico to make sure they get their Mexican will. And I want to let you know up front, Barbara and I just recently did ours. We had a will, it's in the States, but we were let know very quickly that a will in the States does not transfer across the border. So you have to have a will or a living will here in Mexico. So what I want to do is I'm going to break down what some of these are. So I'll be reading some things because I did a bit of research into all this and put some notes together for myself just to make sure I could provide you with the value of your time of looking at this subject. So here is what a will does. A will directs where and whom to your estate, which is what you own, will go to after your death. That is a will. In simplicity, you're able to say where you want to go, where you want your estate to go after you pass. All right. A living will, which is also called a medical directive or an advanced care directive, basically is to communicate what your desires are at the time you become incapacitated, where you can't make decisions for yourself. So that's where a living will comes in. So here's what a living will is. It's a legal document detailing the type and level of medical care that you desire at that time. It addresses life-threatening treatments and procedures, and it can actually appoint a healthcare proxy or a person to make those decisions for you. And that, again, is within a living will. Now, let's look at living will versus a living trust. So a living trust deals with property and assets of an incapacitated person. So if you're someone that medically can no longer make decisions for yourself, this is where a living trust comes in, if you've got any kind of assets and properties. So here are some reasons, I think 9 reasons why it's important to have a will. For one, it saves time, money, and stress to loved ones. Now, I will tell you, I have seen people that end up involved with having a loved one pass and see people fight over forks. It's amazing. I was in a relationship one time, and this is just goes to show human greed. But I was in a relationship before, and it turned out that there was a stepfather in the picture, and everybody thought he had money, and I knew that he didn't. But what was really interesting is when he passed, I could not believe all the people came out of the woodwork. People that family hadn't seen in a long time. How it filled the funeral home. I could not believe it because everybody thought they were going to get a handout. So this is something it's life. It's what can really happen. So this is why this is so important. You determine who manages your estate. Decide who gets your assets. So you can say that this child gets this child gets this child gets this, or it can be another loved one. that you're literally detailing who gets what, where, and how. It provides a home for your pets. Now, one of the things we've got, obviously, we have Esme. And so if something was to happen to Barbara and I, we know where Esme would be taken to. We know who will take care of her in the event of our passing. Leaves instruction for your digital assets. So it has to do with not just what you got in the bank, but whatever you've got digitally, if you're involved in digital money at all. So it gives you the ability of making those decisions. It lowers the potential for family disputes. I mean, I just can't emphasize enough of how important this is. I'm dealing with some of this in my own family. That's why it kind of hits close to home. And without giving out a whole bunch of information, I mean, I've spoken to a family member about having this done. And I literally have let them know that if there is no will, that what she desires, by just saying it to people, could very well not be carried out in that regards. You know what, when somebody passes that has any kind of assets at all, even if it's real small, even if it's a small insurance policy, there could be some real problems. And that is where having a will really sets the bar as where you want things to go. You're able to support your cause. I know that when my grandfather passed, well, I should back up. I had a grandfather that was well-to-do. And I knew that when he passed, my mom would be taken care of for life. Now, my mom today, she's 81 years old. And I know that when my grandfather passed away, my mom was going to be taken care of. And then it found out that my grandfather actually gave the money to the church. And that didn't go over real well with me. Don't get me wrong. I believe in giving to the church and to the church's cause and to the missions and such. But I knew there were some anticipations and some things that my mom was going to be taken care of. She's never really had money, and I just know that she was going to be taken care of. And it didn't happen. That was a disappointment for me. And I didn't know those facts until after it all happened, and it was down the road a ways. So you're able to support the cause of your choice. You get to provide burial instructions. It's important for you. Are you going to be cremated? Or you want to be put into a box? If you're in Mexico, do you want that box to be taken back to the States? Where do you want to be buried? I mean, those are all things that have to be inside of a will. And that's so important, not just to have a will in the States, but also make sure that you've got a will or a living trust here in Mexico. And then the last one here is, it's easy to make a will, and it gives you peace of mind. And I've got to say that that's what it's done for me with Barbara and I, because she knows what happens with me if I was to pass before she does. And again, dying isn't something that anybody wants to really talk about or discuss or focus on. I think it's difficult for everyone to face the fact that we're going to pass one day. And before I pass, I hope the Lord comes. But then there's there's a reality that you have to deal with. And so I'm in my 60s. Barbara's in her 70s. There are people in their 80s and their 90s. And it's really important to know how, where, who, why you want your estate. Even if you don't have anything. I mean, Barbara and I don't have anything. I mean, we don't have anything. I mean, we got a car that at one time looked like it was new. That's until we crossed the border into Mexico. But we really don't have anything. And but we still know. We want to make sure that people know where we have our... I mean, as you can see my background, I've got guitars. I used to play in a praise band. And I know where I want those to go if I was to pass. And Barbara knows where I want them to go too. And it's one of those kind of things that we have the ability then to let somebody know legally what our desires are. So whether you've got a will in the States or not, that's great. But once you get here, you want to make sure that you have a will that takes care of you while you're here in Mexico. And it's something that's really been talked about in a big way. So, friend, I hope that's been helpful for you in regards to wills and trusts and living trusts, so you have more of something to put your arms around. So, and I hope that's been beneficial for you. So, friend, if you haven't already, I'd like to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's fast, free, and easy to do. All you got to do is go to the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little red box, tap on it, and you're subscribed. Go ahead and give us one of those thumbs up. Lets other people know it's a great video to watch about retiring to Lake Chapala. Stop by, say hi, add a comment, let us know a video you'd like to see. And also make sure you hit the bell, because that way you'll be immediately notified when our next video comes out, and you don't want to miss our next video. So with that, as always, thank you so much for being a part of this community and also supporting the channel. Have an awesome day. We'll see you on the next video.